Are you just going to be in the video? Hi lovely people, thanks so much for joining me here on this little short video. This is just going to be 10 minutes talking about what mindfulness is and isn't, and the plan is to have 4 videos in this little mini series because it's just time for me to start putting more things on YouTube. So thank you so much for being here. Mindfulness is a word that you hear all the time. It's like thrown about like confetti everywhere. You know, you can't even really go into a supermarket now and you see things like a mindfulness colouring book, like all these mindfulness things. There's so much out there. If you type mindfulness into Google, you find billions and millions of results. So many things come up. If you type mindfulness into Google Scholar, there's a lot more scientific based papers based on mindfulness. So if you're interested in learning more about the science, which there is an abundance of, then type it into Google Scholar. And you can also type it in mindfulness in education, mindfulness in healthcare, and you'll find some scientific research based on there. It's important to also mention there aren't that many papers outlining the drawbacks of mindfulness, because there aren't that many, personal opinion. There's a lot more benefits to practicing mindfulness, and you'll find that if you sift through the research. So what is mindfulness? First of all, mindfulness came into my life about 7 or 8 years ago, I would say. I started going to a Gong meditation class here in Dubai. Absolutely loved it, loved the benefits, how well it started to make me feel. I then started looking into what mindfulness was, because it can be different from meditation. Not all mindfulness involves meditation. So there's a mindfulness meditation practice, but there's a huge amount of different types of meditation practice. So I started reading a bit more about it. A friend recommended 2 books, which I'll mention later, and I'll put a link in the bio in case you want to read them. And it's fascinating to me, and the benefits are amazing. So what is it? Mindfulness is being present in the here and now in a non-judgmental way. That's a really concise definition that I often share at conferences or webinars that I take part in. There's a few different scientific versions, but for me that's the way that I was able to understand it most. Being aware, being in the present moment in a non-judgmental way. So how many of us look forward to the future and worry? I worry about, still, because I'm not a mindfulness expert, I don't really think anybody can be, that's why it's called mindfulness practice, but I still worry about deadlines for reports. I worry about things in the future that haven't happened yet. I worry about, especially now during COVID times, will I get home in the summer? And sometimes the worries do consume me quite a lot. But when I take a deep breath and bring myself back to the present moment, it often alleviates some of that stress. Also, how many of us sit, I've done this an awful lot, sit and worry and think about, ruminate about the past. I should have said this. I wish I did this differently. Can't believe that person did that to me. And it just churns up all those feelings and emotions from those times. So mindfulness helped me start to put those things down, let the worries of the future and the ruminating from the past drift away, and really be in the present moment. So mindfulness can help you do that, and it's like relief at times. But that brings me to the second part, non-judgmental. So even when I notice those things happen, you know, I'm sitting worrying about something that I said 7 years ago, it like taking some deep breaths, being aware that those thoughts are there, and then not judging myself for it, you know, not telling myself, oh, I can't believe you're sitting thinking about that, what's wrong with you? Or thinking about things in the future, will I ever meet someone and settle down? You know, all those things. Don't judge myself for it when I catch those thoughts. Just aware that they're there, notice that they're there, think about it, and if it doesn't serve me, let it drift away. So ways to bring yourself into the present moment, I'll do another video on that. I think that's going to be the 3rd one in this series, ways to begin mindfulness practice. But the main thing is breathe, you know, take a deep breath. Bring yourself into the present moment. Another thing mindfulness is so helpful with is helping you be aware and noticing your emotions in the present moment. How many times do we get up for work, rush, get ready, do all the things that we need to do before we go to work? Often I'll get to work and think, gosh, I can't even remember anything about that drive. And I haven't even checked in with myself yet. I don't know how I feel that I've woken up, So you get so busy on autopilot in work, doing all the things you've got to do. If you're a parent, getting the children organised, all those different things. But when do we really sit down and check in with how we feel? Often I ask the children to do this in class. We just did it there on Thursday afternoon at the end of the school week here, and it really made me laugh because I wanted to check in and see, how do you feel? We've not really stopped and checked in with ourselves mindfully. So I asked them all to close their eyes, deep breath in, and notice, how do you feel inside? My first instinct was, I am exhausted. I've got 5 weeks left of term. It's hard just now, especially with all the restrictions in school, obviously because of COVID. But so many children opened their eyes and they said, I feel excited, I feel happy, can't wait to do this, I can't wait to do that at the weekend, I'm happy, I'm calm, I feel great. So they were able to really check in, and then you can even go further than that. What does that feel like for you? Where do you notice it in your body? So something that I think is really valuable for us as well as adults is be mindfully aware of your feelings and emotions, what's with you just now, and sit with it for a while. There's a really gorgeous poem that I'll link in the bio called The Guest House by Rumi, and it talks about how be mindfully aware of the emotions that come into your house, your home, which is your body, and welcome them all in. Quite often we don't want to feel those perceived negative emotions, we don't want them to stay long, but actually if we sit with them and be aware and notice that they're there and think about why might they be here, it can often serve us quite well. So mindful awareness of how you feel and checking in with yourself is so beneficial. So what mindfulness isn't, again, this used to really bother me. I used to get a bit of bee in my bonnet. So I've got like creative well-being cards, character strength cards, and my children's book. They're all based on different things. Character strength cards are rooted in positive psychology science. There's lots of different things in there. Optimism, excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat. Sorry, optimism, growth mindset, different things like that. And character strengths are a whole different thing. There are connections to mindfulness. Again, that's something else I'll talk about in a future video. And my children's book's all about feelings and emotions. But people would say, oh, how's your mindfulness book going? How's your mindfulness cards? I'd be like, they're not mindfulness cards, the character strength cards are. So there's this misconception that mindfulness actually just encompasses all things well-being, and it doesn't. Mindfulness is a thing in its own right. It's got so much to it. There's so much research into all fields like education, health, and again, there are connections to different things in positive psychology science like character strengths, different things. But it's in its own right. Mindfulness is something to be learned about and appreciated. So that's one of the big misconceptions that I would always find, that mindfulness just encompasses everything. It's like, no, it doesn't. They're not mindful cards. But I thought, well, what's the best way to clear up those misconceptions is make some videos or information somewhere on a website or whatever that's really clear about what it is. Also, mindfulness isn't just about being calm. So quite often when I teach children about, and some adults, about mindfulness, very often I'll say, we check in with how we feel, different things like that, or what do you notice today? And they'll say, I feel calm. I think it's like the right answer. So of course, being calm and peaceful feelings within yourself is a gorgeous thing to have, but it is a byproduct of mindfulness. There's a really brilliant book. This is one of the ones that I wanted to mention to you, that Ruby Wax, A Sane New World. fantastic. She found mindfulness because of her own mental health struggles, and she wanted to learn more about her brain and ways to keep it focused and well. And she found mindfulness. She went to get her master's in Oxford University, all about mindfulness. So her first book, A Sane New World, is brilliant, and it outlines a lot of the science and a lot of the benefits. But that will be one of my other videos, talking about more about the benefits as well. So yeah, it's just so powerful to practice mindfulness. I've forgotten what what the point was. Oh yes, about what mindfulness isn't. So what mindfulness isn't is having twinkling music on in the background all the time. It isn't just about colouring in a mindfulness colouring in sheet. Mindfulness isn't about liking everybody that comes into your orbit. Mindfulness isn't the be all and end all of well-being. Mindfulness doesn't fit with everybody. You know, there's mindfulness practices that I still don't really like so much, although I know the benefits of them. For example, like an hour-long body scan. When I started practicing that, I would pretty much fall asleep every time, and then I would have those thoughts like, oh, this is too long, like I can't lie here on the floor anymore. What's the point in scanning all my body, listening to this voice? But again, it's the focusing of the attention that really helps in the body scan. Again, there's so many benefits to it, but you know, it's something I would really struggle with. So again, mindfulness isn't for everybody, but again, that's what I'm trying to point out, is mindfulness isn't the be all and end all. All these misconceptions that lead someone to a perception of mindfulness often stop them from even beginning any practice at all. I know quite a few people that are just like, ugh, it's too airy-fairy for me. Mindfulness isn't airy-fairy. That's when I love to say, no, but there's so much hard science, you know, get on my high horse and point out lots of books or articles to read and things. It is quite hard to get someone on board to try it. But again, if you start looking into different athletes and stuff, how their mindfulness practice manifests in such a way that it helps them really laser precision zone into to the moment they're there in the present moment. So actually there's a huge amount that talks about why it isn't just airy-fairy. What else? Mindfulness isn't walking around wearing like bohemian clothes, going to Bali for the summer, doing yoga and just living that real vegan lifestyle. You know, of course mindfulness touches all those things, it does, but you don't have to be those things to practice mindfulness. So again, that's another huge misconception. I hope you've enjoyed this short video. It's just really a bursting of thoughts, you know, 10 minutes that I can just touch on some of the things that I usually share when I talk about what mindfulness is and what mindfulness isn't. I hope it's been useful, a little snapshot into mindfulness, and please watch out for the next video. I'm going to be speaking about some of the schools of thought. Following that, there'll be some practices, and then if you're an educator, another video will be about here's when I did mindfulness with my class for a week and what happened. Please click like and subscribe. It makes me laugh every time I say that because I'm like not a YouTuber. But click like, subscribe, and also if you're interested in learning more about mindfulness, there's a mindfulness module on my online course that's suitable for educators and parents of primary age children. There's the link for that in the box as well, so have a look at that if you're interested in learning more. Thanks, bye.